Welkom by die groot ontbyt. Nou, ons gesels vanoggend oor die kuns van 'n positiewe ingesteldheid en dan ook hoe jy die positiewe ingesteldheid by jou kinders kan kweek. Nou, ons het dit goed gedink om 'n kenner en 'n spesialis in die kinderopvoeding spesifiek in die verband by ons te verwelkom vandag in die ateljee. Sy is die stigter van Little Winners, Positive Thinking Kids, en dit is Larné Neuland. Larné, welcome to die groot ontbyt.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's awesome having you in studio, and we would just like to kick off and welcome you to the program firstly, but then also maybe a bit of background. Where do you come from, and then also in what do you specialize?
Okay, I'm a Pretoria girl, and I've lived here most of my life, but I've been around. But I have a passion for teaching people about their thoughts, telling them about the importance of every single thought they think. Something we don't really learn at school.
Very much.
Did you grow up that way, being a positive person?
No, it was a journey.
Okay, but it's better then. So otherwise, it sounds like a dream life, yeah. And it's not reality then, yeah.
No, it was a total journey, and I think the bumps in my life, the real hard times, and the trauma is what got me to understanding positivity and becoming interested in it. It literally saved my life. I was in such a state that I was sort of suicidal. I was finished due to circumstances in my life. And a woman walked into the surgery where I was working, and she said, she looked at this miserable face, I'm sure it was, and she said, "Do you know, my dear, whatever you have in your life today, there's only one person responsible, and it's you. You should take a look at your thoughts." Just like that, you know, and I thought, good heavens, well, she's got a nerve, she doesn't know me. Here she's telling me I'm responsible. I'm actually a victim. But it got me looking at my thoughts, and what a terrible bunch of thoughts I had there. They were with excellent reason, but self-pity, fear, etc., all the negatives.
And it all starts with the thoughts, the thought process, and after that it flows out into action. So if we stand still for a moment and we look at the thoughts, the positive mindset, how would you define that?
I would actually say a positive mindset is your thoughts are like your head office in your life. This is your head office. And a positive mindset would mean that you have got all the directors that sit there with the various areas, all positive. And they do not allow anyone into that office if it's not positive.
Get out.
Get out. You just keep out, because we do not allow it. It's not our policy. We are positive. And if you've got that mindset and you're aware of negative thought when it knocks at the door and you kick it out, you're really miles away.
Interesting way of looking at it.
Some people say now that having a positive mindset borders on having an unrealistic view of life or the reality of life. What would you tell them?
You know, they're totally right. It's not bordering on unrealistic, it's totally unrealistic. When you're positive, answer. you certainly do not consider the obstacles which are the realistic obstacles. You only see your goal. And you work towards it, and you believe in it, and you go with it. You've got faith, you've got hope, you've got all the right ingredients. And someone coming and saying, "Ach nee, maar dit kan mos nie werk nie." Nou maak jy 'n fout. You don't even want to listen to them. That's the negative. You're not interested. You see your goal, you go for it, and believe me, you reach it. You do reach it.
If I am a positive person with a positive mindset and a way of doing things, does that mean that there won't be moments where I'm going to be negative, or do you still get that moments where...
You're going to get the challenges.
Okay.
I mean, the challenges are there to grow us. They're actually our learning material. When things go wrong, that's how you're going to grow. But you now are aware that if you deal with this incorrectly, if you don't learn from the situation and rise above it, then you are defeated, then you're negative. So a positive person will say, okay, here comes this thing, this whole plan has collapsed, it's a tragedy, or could be a tragedy, but I'm going to say, look, this wasn't quite the right timing for this, or maybe there's a better way. He's going to look at the positive way out of that, not the negative.
Wow.
It's also, if we look at people like Richard Branson, you know, and I think, I mean, if the whole world, he's just a guy owning a record label, and someone will tell him, listen, you know what, one day you'll have your own airline, you'll have a gym franchise in South Africa, you know, as a young man.
Yes.
But he will go like, no. Normally people will go like, no. But a positive mindset would say, maybe it can happen. Is that the reality of that?
Yes.
Not reality.
But think it's not reality. I mean, you're going way beyond reality. But look, we've got the best example globally, and that is Madiba.
Sure. Yeah, you've gone.
And do you think he ever allowed a negative into his mind, saying, you know, it's been so many years now, give up? Never. Not once. He only saw his goal. He had that mindset where I don't want those negs. I won't have them. I'm going forward. So,
and it brings about a lot of other characteristics that's amazing. Being positive made him not being angry, made him not being resentful. If one look at, and it's one of my big heroes as well, Breitenbach, he was mad for 40 years, just for 7 years in jail.
Yeah.
But it's just, the way you handle it.
Yeah. Well, I've got a simplistic way where it's either one thought or the other, and it's that's how it helped me to get out of this situation I was in, to look to make sure that I selected the right thought. And so it's one or the other. So a challenge, if it's not positive, if it's negative and you allow it in you, you're losing. You daren't. You become so aware of it that you're able to fight to win.
We're going to talk about positivity with children and age, but yourself, what was the biggest challenge, and what age did this change came about?
I was about 35, 36.
Okay,
and
so it wasn't like in your 20s.
No, and then I went through a very bad patch. And as I say, I came to the point where I'd really ultimately made the plan, measured the hose pipe, measured the exhaust pipe. I'd said, I can't go on. I give up. I cannot survive this. And that was when a little lady said, whatever you have, you're responsible. And I started investigating, seeing my thoughts. And really, although I didn't really believe her, but I thought, I'm finished, so I will give this a bash. I will put thoughts into 2 categories, and I'll even color them in mentally. And the ones that I can use that are wholesome will be pink, and the ones that have got negativity in them, unwholesome, toxic, they'll be grey. And I'll make sure I just use pink thoughts like a diet for a while, and I'll see if this works. And I was shocked to see that my life literally turned around, and quite soon when I selected only the positive thoughts. Al die omkrappies uitgekry, al die net liefde ingebring. It actually changed my life so much that I was shocked. I was really amazed.
Just a funny question. How do you handle negative people? If you get confronted,
I avoid them.
You avoid them. You just go and say, listen.
Out of the boardroom.
If you see they're not going to change.
Well, look, you do your best. You offer them a bit of, but if they continue, some people aren't, as they say, they're only ready to learn when they're ready, the teacher appears. So the teacher can be there before that, and then they don't hear the teacher. So when they're ready, then they'll hear, and then you'll say, okay, fine. Go for it now, you've got it.
Told you so.
Told you so.
Larné, if we can maybe focus for a moment on children. So you've made that decision of thoughts that you're going to filter according to good or bad, positive and negative. There's a pink, which is positive, and the grey that is negative.
Right.
But how important is it to have this positive attitude, and how does this then play off amongst children?
Well, it's absolutely crucial. After I'd written my book, the thought that kept coming to me was, how come I sat in those little bonkies at school vir al daai jare en nooit het iemand vir my een woord gesê oor my gedagtes. Nie een woord nie. En tog het my lewe totaal verander when I learned how to discipline my thoughts. So I started to do a little bit of research. When can a child actually learn about an invisible thing like your thoughts? When can they actually begin to understand? And kids are absolutely amazing. I was astounded to learn that they're actually able to start learning this from 3 up to 8. And here was something that really shocked me. When a child hits the age of about 8 or 9, that is when his foundation, like you build a house, that foundation that is put in there to hold up the house for the rest of his days, the foundation is finished. The belief system is installed. He has already got an attitude. His little thought patterns are decided on by 8 years old. And yet there is practically nothing on the market to help educators, to help parents. There's nothing to teach them how to teach their kids about thoughts. There's really nothing there. And that's when I decided there must be a little book that's on the level of a child, on the understanding of that little one, that can help him understand. Ja, ek het gedagtes, daar is 2 tipes gedagtes, liefies en die omkrappies, en ek kies hulle. En die liefies maak my lewe mooi, en die omkrappies bring moeilikheid. And so I wrote the little kiddies book. Let's take a peek at our thoughts, or pret met gedagtes. And I'm so passionate because I nearly died. So I thought I if I could just get this message out, if schools could just start teaching this to children so that they're empowered and they know if something's not lekker, waar is die probleem? Dit is die ek maak die fout, wat dink ek verkeerd? And they can start learning to build in those first up to 8 years a positive mindset.
When would you say is the ideal moment to start implementing this in your child's life?
Well, I started with my grandson, the only one I had to sort of test on, when he was 3. And the nice
Wow.
thing is, you don't have to, it takes away that jy is nou moeilik of jy is nou stout. You say, daar's 'n omkrappie. Dit is 'n omkrappie verseker wat jou so kwaad maak, want dit is wat hulle doen. They are full of nonsense. You've got a grouch in there. And I started with him and he learned the love and the grouch. I used love for the opposite of the grouch because actually it's all based on love. Your positivity is love. And when Zach turned 14 last year, he sent me an email from Cape Town and he said, Gran, I also got a prize at the soccer prize giving. But mine wasn't for the kicking or anything like that. Mine was just for the soccer player with the best attitude.
Wow. And that's actually a huge achievement.
In other words, it does work, it does last, and kids are clever enough to pick it up and learn it at that young age. In fact, I think it's essential.
Definitely.
Because that's the thing. It's a philosophical concept that a child must understand. And you use props like the brains.
I do.
want to show this to our
I do.
viewers. So what's the difference
For the
between
visual
two?
brain.
It's not real brains.
No. So what's
this
the
is a
difference?
positive one.
That's a positive brain that is being nourished. He's getting everything that a brain needs. He gets enough food, enough attention, enough love. He's being nurtured. The other one is being abused or shouted at. Fear is definitely damaging that child. And the parents and the teachers need to be aware. This is what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with a growing, molding brain, a life.
But that's the thing. I mean, the child gives you signals. But most important here at that age is that teachers must know, and I mean, if they're not positive themselves, how
Doesn't
difficult is it to, because I mean,
Precisely.
you can't feed in that child's, just to pick
Of
up
course.
his emotions.
Well, I spend my life now going to schools and speaking to parents on the preschool evening. And I say to them, please don't just purchase the book for the child and teach your child. Become it. You've got to become what you're
A
teaching.
lifestyle, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be part of you because your child is learning. I mean, a child learns mainly from what the child sees, the example. So if you throw your hands up in the air when something goes wrong, you expect him to throw his toys out of the cot as well. If you're driving on the road and someone cuts you off, what do? What do the men do? What do we all do? we want to have a tantrum. And your child is watching. Something went wrong. Something didn't go the way I wanted it. So this is an opportunity for me to have a tantrum.
So the best way, what would you say is the best way then to teach children from a parent point of view? Is it then a practical led teach by example place?
Pretty much so. That is the most powerful tool you have, your example.
Okay.
And especially in the face of something going wrong in your life. Because he's watching that. How do you handle it? What do you do when something goes wrong? So that is your prime example. But these little love and grouch toys and the little book that teaches them, there are two types of thoughts, and I choose one. And then bringing that into his education by saying, no, Cookie, that's a grouch. You're angry because that broke, but that's the grouch. What would the love do? You can actually help him decide on a positive. The love would say, oh, never mind, we'll get another one. Or, okay, I wasn't invited to the party. Let's do something else. You help him choose a positive so that he gets into the habit of selecting a positive and builds that mindset of positivity.
Would you say the Americans did it right, or do you think they took it too far, being positive? Because it's an American thing. Their children's got, confidence and...
Well, I think the Americans have got nothing right in this area, I'm afraid, because they discovered positive thinking years ago. In the 60s. That's when they discovered positive thinking. And they know that positive thinking is literally like a cure for mental cancer. It changes your life. They also know that a child forms his mindset before he's 8 or 9. Why are they not putting their brilliant brains and money into little ways to teach that child while his mindset's being formatted? Why don't they do something about it? But there's practically nothing being done. They rather let them get the negativity, become negative, and then when they're at work, in the corporate world, then we'll have some rah-rah sessions. Then we'll do it. We'll try and get them right now. Why not do it when the child is growing?
No, definitely. You're an inspiration, and I can't believe my teachers. Vasanya was nie soos jy nie.
Ja.
So thank you so much for visiting us.
Thank you.
And it's great stuff. Great what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Jy sien dat se kinders positief kry.